Lately, I've been shooting quite a bit with the GH5. It's the new Panasonic DSLR. And I had used the GH4 quite a bit, but I'm definitely a fan of this GH5. In the record quality menu, we actually have the ability to do 422 10-bit footage in 4K. And then you have your different frame rates, 2398, 422 10-bit. This is definitely a step up than the GH4. With the 8-bit 420 of the GH4, you would get banding a lot with some of your color timing. This new 422 10-bit helps that almost go away completely. In addition to that, variable frame rate options now in full 4K. You can go up to 60 frames a second. If you do decide to take it back to 1080, where a variable frame option, you can actually take this all the way up to 180 frames a second, which is pretty great considering that this is a DSLR. In addition to that, we do have, once again, all the settings that you're used to if you are used to shooting with GH models, as well as the log. Log, you do have to get that as an upgrade, but it's totally worth having log. It just helps so much with holding those highlights if you're working outside. It also has a built-in 709 LUT as well, or at least a like 709. Another thing that's kind of funky about this camera is it actually has internal sensor stabilization. You can probably see the sensor actually kind of floating around in there. That's really helpful for handheld situations or for being on a gimbal. It can take out some of that jitteriness that you often get with unstable handheld or gimbal. However, you cannot really get a good shot from the GH5 if you're mounting it to any sort of vehicle, anything that has a lot of high frequency vibrations. You can turn off the internal stabilization. However, it doesn't really lock in tight enough to prevent it from jiggling around inside the camera body. So I wouldn't recommend actually mounting this camera to a car and expecting really good footage. For anything, you're better off with going back to the GH4, which has a locked-in sensor if you need to do any car rigging stuff. Another thing I like about the GH5 is that just like the GH4, if you're used to using that, it does have the built-in time lapse when you are in the photography mode. So the GH5 overall is just a nice, well-rounded camera. If you're trying to shoot B-roll or documentary, having time-lapse, high-speed, and 422 10-bit capabilities, you can kind of get whatever sort of shot you may need. So this is definitely a big hit for me in terms of DSLR filmmaking.